Hey, this is Thomas Crockett with FDRA, and we're here back for Kicks Over Coffee, joined today by Mason George with IMC Companies. Mason, thanks so much for joining us for this discussion today. And how's it going?
Hey, Thomas, thanks for having me. I wish I could report better news. I mean, things are still really chaotic, it seems, all over the country, but happy to take a break and talk to you for a little bit.
Yeah, so just as some background, you guys have the largest drayage fleet or the largest company in the country, right? Is that how is that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Needed to find that a little bit further, just to not upset the domestic guys, but we are the largest marine drayage company in the country. There are a few larger domestic drayage guys like the JB Hunts and Swift and Schneiders of the world, but we are focused solely on international drayage. So we pick up imports, exports from the ports and railroads in every major port in the U.S. And that's really our absolute sweet spot for where we want to provide a service to our customers and also our drivers.
So you're obviously really on the ground at these ports and seeing the situation firsthand. What are some of the concerns you have? What are some of the biggest challenges you guys are facing right now?
The more I talk to people, the more I'm truly understanding. I think our problems are just like everybody else's problems, right? It's a systemic issue that we're facing with a bottleneck at these major port and railroad terminals. And, I'll give you a scenario. I was up at the Connect conference in Boston about a week and a half ago, or 2 weeks now. And I was listening to the president of Zim speak, George, and he was saying that, he's got an issue because all of his vessels are berthed at anchor and they're not able to get into the terminal as well as they had been, obviously, and everybody's seen the news on that. That's nothing that's shocking, but something clicked in my head last week because I've got the same problems with trucks trying to get into the Port of Newark, right? So we've got trucks on the inland side, and then we have vessels on the marine and water side, all kind of at this choke point of the terminal operation because the terminal is not working very efficiently. And the issue, therein becomes, how do we make that terminal much more efficient than what it is today? And a lot of people will say, well, why don't we just buy more land and expand to have a bigger terminal and get more lifts and more union laborers and all that stuff to work in? And the issue with that is that these things have been landlocked for a long time. Save the port of Savannah. I don't know if there's been any major infrastructure spend and availability for these ports to continue to expand. And in some places like California, really don't even want to expand. So it's a choke point in the entire supply chain that, people say all the time, well, there's not enough containers or there's not enough drivers. And my contention is the opposite. I think there's plenty of those things. We're just not using them the right way, right? And that's what's killing our supply chain. And the answer is not always more. We just have to think about things a little bit differently.
So is this something with the pandemic you've seen accelerate, or did it start with a pandemic? Have these problems been there? How new is it?
That's a great question, Thomas. I think that in my opinion, the industry was walking towards this, right? LA was already in this area of, hey, our drivers used to be able to pick up 5 or 6 containers a day. Now they're down to 2 and 3. And with the pandemic, we saw the surge in containers coming in. And I get hesitant to say, yeah, it's just the pandemic, or this is the world that's just temporary. And what I'm trying to kind of communicate to everybody else is we got to get over this thought process of, let's just get through this slug of cargo. If we can just get through peak season 2021, we're going to be fine. Now we just got to make it to Chinese New Year 2023, and then everything will reset and everybody's going to be great. Well, I don't think we're there. I think, from our standpoint and where I'm sitting, congestion is not going away unless demand absolutely, tapers off to hardly anything, because we've gotten so inefficient at the ports with what's currently there. It's surpassable. And I give you a scenario, right? For a lot of people, if you have a 6-lane highway that can accept cars on an on-ramp, right? that 6-lane highway is only built to handle so many cars. And if you add another 10% of the cars on that highway, what are you doing, right? It's not that everybody's going to be slowed down by 10% more. It's exponential impact to the whole ecosystem for containers, right? So as more cars come in, everybody is affected at an exponential rate. And that's what we're seeing with containers today, right? We have reached this threshold in the port of LA and Long Beach that says, hey, anything over 800,000 containers a month is really too much for the system to handle in the current operating model. We have to change that. And how do we make this work better for our drivers and our customers, and also the ocean carriers out there that are suffering from this as well? I mean, it's hard to say they're suffering because I know they're making a lot of money and everybody's been really public about this stuff. But one of the reasons why they're making a lot of money is because there's a lot of demand for those containers, and because they're all sitting outside the ports, not able to get work, right? So I'm not trying to give them a lifeline saying that they're getting really beat up, but I guarantee you that ocean prices would start coming down if those vessels were used a lot more efficiently than they are today.
So what type of changes have you guys had to make to adjust to this? I mean, are there new innovations or new ways of doing things? Have you had to rethink the whole model with this new environment?
Yeah. So, with almost everything, really chaotic times are great opportunities to reinvent the wheel and look at how you're doing, your business, because the alternative is just more of the same. And that's obviously the definition of insanity. So what we started doing, and I've got a video that I was going to play, and I can explain a little bit more in depth here as well, but I think it just really, excuse me. Here, hang on. Let me share the screen first,
sure.
Here, Thomas. But I think it shows exactly what we're trying to do all over the country in a really just kind of easy way. But let's give this a shot.
Congestion is not going away, but you need your product. Shipping terminals are crowded, and traditional systems of processing give you little control. The largest shippers speed things up by combining containers into peel piles. They get first attention and fast throughput. But what if your volume isn't enough for a peel pile every time? You're left to that same antiquated process of random piles, driver lines, and long digs looking for specific containers, and an average dwell time of as much as 12 days. What if your containers could get priority treatment? Introducing the IMC Companies SmartStacks. With SmartStacks, our customers' containers are combined to become one massive peel pile. This new process gets our containers outgated faster and decreases our customers' dwell time to less than 3 days. The key to the SmartStacks innovation is our capacity at nearby depots, the largest driver network in the US, and the technology to coordinate it all. When it comes to your cargo, we provide scalable solutions to get it delivered fast and on time. SmartStacks, one more reason why IMC is where drayage is going.
Well, that was really interesting, seeing that, the breakdown of that. Can you tell us a little bit how that works with the SmartStack? We saw the video of them loading it, but how exactly does that work?
Yeah. So essentially, people who used to have peel piles were kind of this elite group, right? It was the Walmarts, the Targets, the Amazons of the world who were bringing in, thousands of containers a week that could put these peels together that were a couple hundred deep, and they got all these efficiencies, right? And the efficiencies were, you don't have to make appointments for these containers. You just have your driver show up and they load the box. Driver out gates, in and out process is less than 30 minutes. Everything's going to this one big DC. And about a year and a half ago, our team started playing around with this idea of saying, look, the peel pile concept is so strong. How can we start combining all of our containers so we can do this every time, right? And how do we accomplish that? And we started saying, really, we have to get to this world that we were already in, but it's kind of like this dynamic dispatching that we like to call it. The drivers go into the terminal without knowing what box they really are going to go get, right? And that's a little bit of a brain shift and a change in thinking here. But your driver who normally likes to go to this one location every day for whatever reason, because he thinks he's making money or because his buddies work there, whatever it is, it's, hey, Tony, let's take this out of the equation and let's just say, let's give you the best port experience that you can have. And the best way to do that is with this concept called a peel pile. And instead of going through and digging through, 7 or 8 boxes to get to the one that you're specifically asking for, what we're looking to do is all of our volume is combined in this one stack. And instead of doing any of the digs, you're pulling containers off the top every time. And the result that you get is that the terminal throughput is so great that it outweighs any of the driver preferences or issues that you have before. So what we're doing here is we're combining all that volume into one big stack. So we have multiple customers inside this thing, and we're able to get cargo out of the terminal much faster via this method. And we're able to recruit more drivers to our platform as a big result too. So, these are huge wins across a really tough time that's very inefficient. And, the other thing I'll say to that too is that our customers are a lot happier too. We picked up over 3,500 containers last week, right? On a week before the holiday, which is one of the toughest weeks in transportation. Is anytime that you take out a day before, the next week after, everybody's rushing to get their stuff out. We picked up 3,500 containers last week, and every one of those containers was there less than 2 days. It's just amazing the success here, while the average is anywhere from 11 to 12 days these days. So the proof's in the pudding. Our guys love it. Our customers are really enjoying it, and it's going very, very well.
And are you seeing kind of the same results at every port, or are there some places where it works better than other places?
We have active SmartStacks right now in Long Beach, in Chicago, in Memphis, in Houston, and we are working very hard in Newark to get that going off the ground too. So to your point, in places like Chicago, our container average is actually less than a day, because we're picking stuff up so quickly. Same thing in Memphis. Stuff that comes in on these dedicated areas that we're picking this stuff up from, it's literally changing the game for what we're doing. So to your point, LA is what I was talking about earlier. We're picking up containers within less than 2 days, and it's better in some markets. Wow. So far the results have just been astounding. And our drivers really enjoy it because they're getting in and out. We're able to recruit more drivers to come work with us, as well as other companies. And we're getting and soliciting those guys to help contribute some volume to these piles too. So that's all going very well. And the efficiencies at the terminal, as well as getting empties back in and all of those things have really kind of been of a cascading effect. It's kind of been the silver bullet that we've got going on for the last, like I said, year and a half or so.
I know a lot of people listening will be really interested to hear that, because we bring in 2.4 billion pairs of shoes a year. A lot of that comes in through LA and Long Beach. So to have any way to get these efficiencies, and I know there's a consumer impact too, to try to get this to consumer faster, more happier consumers, consumer satisfaction. So there's that piece to this too.
Absolutely, and speed has really changed the world that we live in, right? At some level, I think the old adage was, okay, we got to get it to the shelf, right? And if it's on the shelf, then the customer's going to see it and they're going to buy these new shoes for our kids that go into school because they're going to see it and like it. Well, the habits have obviously gone way more e-commerce and online shopping and all those things. And you're able to get your inventory into your system much quicker without going all the way to the shelf at like a Dick's Sporting Goods in Chicago, Illinois, right? We've got it. It's, shipping might be 2 days out, but it's at our warehouse now, right? And that's what these SmartStacks are doing, is it's making the availability of cargo so much faster. And I think it's very translatable to all those that are out there dealing with these issues today. This program is designed for guys who want their cargo, right? If you don't want it, we're going to take it to our yard and we'll deliver it to you when you want it. But the idea is that we're picking this stuff up as quickly as we can, getting it to the customer, and so they can figure out how they would like to handle that cargo, because no one historically likes to order something and then sit on it inside the container for another 90 days. That's not a good thing. So getting that problem fixed is a huge win.
Well, if there's anybody that's listening that's really interested in this and wants to learn more about it or connect with you, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, so I've written a white paper. It's on our website at imcc.com. You can email our team. We have one at peelpile@imcc.com. You can call us. We are taking as much business as we possibly can because it helps our product. And the bigger these stacks are, the better the results are sometimes, because drivers are excited about working and they get recruit their buddies to come help. So all of those things has been a very big success. So we would like anybody's business who would want to contribute to their volume into the SmartStack.
Great. Well, it's really interesting stuff, and appreciate you sharing it with us. Just want to, as we kind of bring this to a close, any final thoughts, any tips for companies that are, dealing with all these challenges from shipping all the way to the ports and trying to get goods to customers? Any kind of closing thoughts there or closing tips?
Yeah, I think your relationships matter now more than ever, right? And people have been saying that for a long time. In logistics and transportations, it's an ecosystem of a lot of different parties all playing together in a sandbox that needs to work really well, right? So what we're trying to do, and I encourage everyone to try to do this to make it a better place, but we meet with terminals regularly. We meet with steamship lines regularly. We meet with our drivers regularly and our customers regularly, and even other people who are in the industry, trying to talk to them and learn more about what they're doing on a daily basis and how we continue to get better from a drayage standpoint and what serves the customer, and keeping these other parties involved, I think is a big deal. So what I would say is just my parting wisdom is, the more you work with everybody in the supply chain, I think the better your supply chain is going to be, because a collaboration effort is what we need. We have so much fragmentation. There's so many different warehouses, so many different parties in these transactions. We have to figure out how to collaborate better across party lines. And I think that's how we can make this a better place for sure.
Well, this is great. Mason, thanks again for taking the time to talk with us about this key issue today. Thanks to everybody also who listened to this, for taking the time to watch it and listen to this Kicks Over Coffee. And we will hope you'll join us for the next Kicks Over Coffee. And thanks again.
Hey, thanks.